Jim Breen, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Delighted you were able to find the time, because any man who wears a sport coat on the podcast brings up the quality. So thank you for that, sir. You're looking good today.
I'm at work. What can I say?
Hey, man, I love it. I love it. And you have been doing this work for a long time. So talk a little about where you're at and what's going on for you today.
Talking to you from Fort Worth, Texas, 17 floors up in a high-rise with Wells Fargo Advisors, private wealth advising, which seems like what a lot of our classmates are doing. And it's the job I got when I got out after almost 7 years. And then the same company, 4 different companies, just same company buyouts and mergers. So loving life here in Fort Worth.
Because your name is on the door, right? You're in your partner's name?
Yes.
How does that work?
Well,
so did you set up as an independent when you started?
I mean, we're, my 10 by 10 foot cubicle here is Jim Breen Incorporated,
Right.
But Wells Fargo Advisors, 16,000 people in this company that do what I do, same as Merrill Lynch, Goldman Sachs, all the others. So, but you are kind of your own, you like to think you're your own little fiefdom.
Got it. But you develop your own business and you do run it as its own separate entity, right? I mean, you
build a client base and take care of your clients and just kind of use Wells Fargo as the platform.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Fort Worth, so you've been in Fort Worth since 92, is that right?
Yep, got out in 92, 93. Yep, been here ever since. Yeah. Figured it was a great place to move to. I was at Fort Hood, last duty assignment, ETS from there. Mm-hmm. Figured it was a great place to go and, start a business like this when I knew all of 2 people in the town, my sister and her husband. 2 of my first clients.
There you go. That's a good start anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No point in making this easy on myself.
And so as a wealth advisor, a financial advisor, that's something you could do for a long time because it's primarily an intellectual pursuit. You're not out welding, for example.
Right.
So you think you do this for a while and keep after it, or what's?
As long as I have my mental faculties, which my wife might say I don't right now, but as long as I think I got them, what were y'all, 62, 63-ish, give or take.
62,
and if I can do this till I'm 75 or older, why not? I tell plenty of people I never go to work. I get up and I do what I want to do, and I happen to get paid for it. So why would I stop doing that? And I can do it from here or anywhere in the world that I'm at the time. So
if you happen to be traveling someplace, you can keep in touch. So not revealing any secrets, but roughly how many people do you help out, or how can you describe the size of your clients, I guess, or your
client book. Yep. Roughly 200 households.
200 people. Okay.
It's pretty manageable. Multi-generation, now grandparents, parents, grandchildren, generally 3 generations, largely.
Yeah. Right. So a couple hundred folks you help out, and you can do that, keep doing that. Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
And what are you doing in your off time? We kind of joked around about some of our more kind of active classmates ahead of time, but what do you pursue in the off time?
Kathy and I travel a bunch, go to Colorado frequently, now go to Florida a lot. And then we did our last 2 class trips with our folks that went to Ireland last year, and then we went to Scotland last month, 2 months ago. Yep. And then next year is the Riverboat cruise in France from Paris to Normandy and back. So we've already signed up for that.
My wife and I are going to join you there, so we'll see you there.
I did see your name on the list. It's a great time.
Yeah.
It's a good group. It's fun, well organized. So glad you're going. We've had a great time.
Oh, my wife, we lived in the UK for a little while. She goes, if we ever go to France, I'm in. And I said, well, guess what? She said,
we're in.
Let's go.
Well, you missed Ireland and Scotland, and both of them are really beautiful.
That's great, and I've heard great things about those trips. Good, well, good. This is a gateway to harder stuff, so we'll see each other sometime next year on a boat in France.
Awesome.
And if you're listening to this, it's well before the time. Check it out. Good stuff. So I saw in your LinkedIn profile that you You come from Arkansas, is that right?
That's right.
Did I deduce that correctly? Because you're.
You did.
Anyway.
Grew up in Little Rock.
It was in the fine print. I saw that you were a member of a thing that was based in Arkansas.
Yeah. So. Do not ask me to recite the Arkansas poop if you.
Well, that's an automatic next thing. Because if you get Kevin Belmont on here, he just can't help himself.
He and Matt Buckner, they would just, yes, both of them would just, yeah. It is so profane that it would be X-rated video.
Yeah, this is a family show, so we don't allow the Arkansas poop on here. Though many at our Arkansan has really wanted to come on and give it, we've refrained. So, what attracted you to West Point? What was the original idea?
High school, I was in JROTC, Marine Corps, JROTC. Mm-hmm. Really didn't even know what the academies were until my dad clued me in. I was stupid enough that I thought the Army-Navy game was played between soldiers and sailors. I was really clueless.
You're not the only one, so take heart.
Yeah. So, and he kind of clued me in, and I was the youngest of three. Not real sure how much college funds were available, and so I applied to all the academies. It's actually kind of an interesting story. So I got applied to all of them. Navy rejected me. Air Force rejected me. And I didn't hear anything from West Point for the longest time. And it was probably the last week of high school before we graduated. In fact, I got an ROTC scholarship. I was going to go to TCU on an ROTC scholarship, had my housing and books and everything all set up. And then there was one of my high school classmates, unbeknownst to him or me, he had appointment offers to both Navy and West Point, and he could not make up his mind to save his life. And at the 11th hour, he decided he was going to go to the Naval Academy. And that, unbeknownst, opened up my slot to West Point. And the next day, I get called out of class, and I'm at an all-boys Catholic high school. And so the principal, priest, gets on the intercom and calls me out of class and come to his office. It couldn't be good. And I go to his office, and he goes, "This phone call's for you." Now I'm thinking my parents are deceased or something. And he goes, I pick it up, and it's my congressman's office saying, "We're offering you an appointment to West Point." And I can't speak. I can't even say anything. And my principal says, "Mr. Breen, say yes." I just go, "Yes." And so he
was there.
Yes, thank goodness he was there. So tell him yes.
He got you over the line.
Yeah.
Usually a call from the principal's office at the Catholic high school wasn't usually good news.
No, not at all.
Right?
So, yeah. So he says,
"So how much time did you have to prepare? How much time did you have to get ready to go back there?"
Oh, it was like 4 weeks. I had the month of June because it was I probably graduated late May, and so So he says, "Hey, there's only 5 minutes left in class. Why don't you just sit here and internalize what just happened?" I'm like, he goes, "Well, hey, why don't you just call your dad?" So I called my father and tell him. He's thrilled, and then we had an assembly right afterwards, and we walked down to the all-school assembly, and then he calls me down to the podium on the gym floor where he's standing because he always started the assemblies, and announces to the whole school that I just got an appointment to West Point, which was very cool.
Yeah.
The whole place gives you a standing ovation. It was pretty cool.
That's very
good start.
That's a great start. And now JROTC, did that prepare you at all for when you got there for our day?
Oh yeah. It was. Yeah, we were in good physical shape. I was on a physical fitness team. Yeah, and all the military bearing and stuff that helped a lot, but not enough. Did anything help us enough?
It gave you a leg up, but you needed several legs to get there. I get you.
Right.
I get you. Yeah. And so, had you traveled a lot as a kid, or was it your first trip back east when you went?
Yeah, my dad in that month of June took me up to look at it, and Yeah, he took me up and just I think for 2 nights. I stayed with a cadet, so
wow.
And it may have been like the last week before West Point got out, but I just remember staying with the cadet. I think I remember that. Anyhow, it was good to see it, and said, "Yep, that's where I want to go." So that was it.
It's good for you. Good for you. So coming in, you were an H2 as a plebe. How was the entry point? What was H2 like?
Interesting. Kind of. I think they were all rough, obviously. Of course, memory doesn't always serve me well, but I do remember Matt Eigel, if you know Matt.
I know Matt.
He and I were in Beast together in the same company, and then I think they switched us halfway through Beast, or maybe, at any rate, when we first got switched, maybe it was academic year. Matt goes to H2.
Yeah.
And then we're in Buckner together. We get pushed in Buckner together, and then we're in F4 together. So Matt Eigel and I stayed together.
Is that right?
4 years through all of that. Yeah. And I think he was really the first person I sat next to on the bus when we said goodbye to our parents. Yeah.
Was there ever a point you said, Maddie, I don't know if I can get rid of you?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But H2 was good. I can remember several of my roommates, Chuck Cabin, Jim Clancy. I remember Royce Johnson was in our company. John Roper.
Yeah.
He was prior service, prep school, and hugely helpful.
Okay. Was H2, they were all tough, as you say, but was there anything unusual about how the H2 treated the plebes?
No, it's all I knew, so I don't know if that was different. That I hear what other stories that people have. We had some. I don't know if we necessarily had some flames, but I think we had 1 or 2 that were pretty tough on us. But overall,
how'd you find the
experience.
academics? The first year.
So Paul, my academics the whole time I was there, I like to tell people that I finished in the half of our class that made the top half possible.
Okay.
That's where I was, brother.
Well, you know what? Every statue needs a plinth.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Now, I mean, I never went to summer school and didn't go to staff, so I guess I got that going for me. But it was hard. I think, and Matt was with me on this one. Our plebe year, academic year. I think it's the first weekend that as plebes we're allowed to go to Ike Hall and can partake in a pitcher of beer.
Right.
Matt and I and some others participated in probably too many pitchers of beer. And we are walking back from Ike Hall back to the barracks, and way too many beers. Needed to dispel or disperse some of that beer. And we were walking by the first class club, and again, you said I was from Arkansas, so a good tree is as good a place as any, right? Well, there happened to be a firstie walking by when I decided to do that, and Matt may have helped, rat me out. No, he didn't rat me out, but he was not helpful in concealing me. I'll say that. So, at any rate,
he did not provide cover. Let's put it that way.
He did not. He was not a good wingman, not at all. And that had resulted in a slug. That was a regimental board, Colonel Sloan.
Ooh. Yeah.
It was a 40-something and something. So immediately 40 hours on the area, which every time were you ever on the area?
I did my 4 hours. I did them well and did not get more. But I know that those of you who had a lot of hours tended to accumulate more as a result of minor infractions, right?
Oh yeah, you can't go down to the area and get inspected without getting another hour or 2 tacked on. Right. And then there were probably a couple of other transgressions. There was some pregame punch one year at a tailgate that got several of us in trouble at F4. And then there was twice we came back
F4
on.
was a spirit. Yeah, the F4 was your upper class company. That was a spirited group, though.
We really were. We were a good group, and it was fun. We had got in trouble with some tailgates on occasion. I remember one time we went, just I don't know where we went. We had a long weekend. We drove somewhere, and we're coming back, and we didn't realize there was a Bruce Springsteen concert going on at the Meadowlands, and the traffic was, and we got back late. So that was 8 hours or 10 hours, and did the same thing coming back from a ski trip. And lo and behold, after I looked up, I had 100+ hours. So spent a lot of time there.
So you got your century out of it.
I did indeed.
It's a badge of honor these days. Now at age 62, it's a badge of honor.
Or stupidity.
Right? So what year was it where the 40-hour Firsty Club watering slug came from? Was that upper class, or was that plebe year?
That was plebe year.
Second.
Yeah, no, that was the first.
Right out of the gate, you were able to work on your marching
we could go to I Call to drink. Yeah, it was. It's an auspicious start.
Now, how about were you athletics? Did you just do intramurals?
Intramurals.
Do that, or were you okay?
Intramurals.
Good.
Wasn't a stellar athlete, but I do remember our cow year is announcement at the poop deck was anyone who wants to join the newly to be reformed crew team, come to the poop deck.
That's right.
So I went and thought, okay, kid from Arkansas knows a ton about crewing, right?
Arkansas is a powerhouse in crew, I understand.
So I joined the crew team, and we had the Naval Academy gave us their old boats that were made of wood, probably weighed 1,000, 2,000 pounds, because they had just gotten the new fiberglass hulls that weighed 200 pounds. And then the Coast Guard gave us their oars.
And then they immediately challenged you to a match.
They did.
Here's your 2,000-pound boat versus our 200. Now let's have a regatta.
Yes. And for the first 6 months, all we did was sand down those boats and refinish them and all, and repaint the oars. And I remember one regatta, and there's maybe two other teams. I don't even know who that was against, but they say go or start or fire a gun or whatever. And those other two teams are like through the finish line, and we're like on stroke 3. I just remember it being bad.
200-pound or 2,000-pound boat.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what was your course of study? You said you held up the top end of the class. What was the course of study that you finally settled on?
Economics, econ major.
Economics. Well, you were kind of a glutton for punishment if academics wasn't your strong suit going into economics. So what was the decision there?
I knew if I was never in the Army that this job is what I wanted to do. So I thought, okay, what better job than economics? Although, and I even tell clients, if I had a psychology degree, I could do my job infinitely better. There's not much math in private wealth management. Yeah. There's a whole lot of behavioral science going on, that holding hands, talking people off the ledge, not letting emotions rule. So
family dynamics, if you're in the third generation.
Yeah. So I have a self-taught psychology degree since through the years.
I bet. The stories that those stories, hopefully, that we'll hear a few of them. So, a man of infantry, when did you decide that infantry was going to be your branch?
Not by choice. So if you recall, between cow and first year, I think that's when you did either, third lieutenant program or drill cadet program. And I did drill cadet program. And then the other half of the month, I went to aviation down at Fort Rucker. So I did that month-long helicopter training, pilot Aviation,
Yep.
which was awesome. And, before you could do that, you had to go and get your flight physical from the flight surgeon there at West Point, which, as I recall, was a guy who was retired, couldn't give it up, and was probably in his 70s, as I remember. Call him 75. At any rate, I go and get my flight physical, and before that, and he's like, "Oh my God, you're in great shape." Checks me right off, barely even, does anything, physical exam, or you're just in great shape, go. And so I went and flew. And in our classmates that did fly know, you can't even, when you're on flight status for that month, you can't even take over-the-counter Tylenol without a prescription from a flight surgeon. Everything's got to, that was the rule, as I recall, back then. And I didn't. And so, at any rate, I was on flight status for the month of June. And then July, I went and did DCP, also, I think, at Fort McClellan, Alabama, I think. Mm-hmm. I was down there with Rob Douthit. Rob and I were, Rob had his green Boxster down there, and he'd put the top down, and he and I would go cruising, and we would, thinking every girl that ever saw us was just going to fall all over us. Not one of them did, that I recall.
Well, he's still kind of that way, RD.
He is that way. Changed. RD will probably tell you a different story that, oh, no, we were picking up girls all over
There's no doubt he will.
Yeah. At any rate, so anyhow, that you're all just on flight status that 1 month. And so then our first year, it's, I don't know when it is, September, October, and we got to go back to the same flight surgeon and get requalified to branch aviation. So I go back to him for my, real flight physical, and he's looking at my chart, and I think in October I had a sinus infection or something, and went to the cadet clinic, got the whatever medicine they gave me, and went on my merry way. And this flight surgeon is looking at my records, and he says, "You took this medicine without my approval." And I'm like, "Well, sir, I wasn't on flight status." And he goes, "No, yes, you were. You're on flight status." And I'm going, "No, sir, just the month of June. I haven't been on flight status." And he just looks at me. This is a quote. He goes, "Cadet, I think you're too stupid to fly a helicopter. You're disqualified." And I'm like, what the heck just happened? So he kicks me out of his office. And so I go to my tactical officer, our TAC, Greg Stone, Captain Stone. Yeah. And we go, "Hey, sir, this is what just happened to me." And Captain Stone's like, I'll go talk to him on your behalf. I'll try to clear this up. So Captain Stone goes a few day or two later, pleads my case. And the flight surgeon kicks Greg out of his office. It says, "You don't like my decision? Appeal it to the Department of the Army." So Captain Stone helped me appeal it, and I write up my appeal and wait, and it never comes back. My appeal, yes or no, never comes back from Dobmer or whoever it went to. And then it comes time to pick our branch, and I really want to go aviation, and I can't because of this flight surgeon. And so now I'm just mad, stupidly mad. And I'm like, all right, to hell with this. If I can't fly, then you know what? I just want the hardest job there possibly can be in the Army, and I just want to be miserable. So I picked infantry, and I picked my first post as Fairbanks, Alaska, Fort Wainwright. And I got my wish, by the way. It was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
So
you
did
to good conclude, on that one.
Yeah. So to conclude this aviation story, it's graduation day. We parade. We go to our graduation ceremony. We get our diplomas. We throw our hats in the air. We go pin our bars on. And then if you remember, we out-processed. You got to go pick up your personnel file. You got to go pick up your medical file, and that's probably the two files you picked up. I think one with the personnel was brown, and the medical file was green. And so I go, and and I've got plans with other F4 guys. We're going to drive cross country, and we're taking our 30 days, and we're going to Hawaii or whatever. So I've got plans, but at any rate, I pick up my medical file, and I am heading back to our barracks and get my car or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I probably should just open this file up and make sure they gave me mine. I hadn't even looked to see if it's my name on it. I'll open up my green medical file, and on the very first page is this black and white stamp the size of a dollar bill, and it's dated March 1st, and it says, medically qualified for flight. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can be an aviator. I can go aviation. Oh, wait, everything's shut down. We've graduated. Who do I tell? What do I go to? And I'm like, you know what? Drive on. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
So,
wasn't meant to be.
Anyway.
At least you know you were in good health.
Oh,
at least you
thanks,
had your
Paul.
health.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
It's cold comfort, but we can.
But listen to our other classmates saying that, hey, they were about, aviation went out about at the midpoint. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I couldn't have gone. Maybe I wasn't ranked high enough. But I thought I remembered it still being open when I had to choose infantry. Maybe not. I don't remember, but I thought it was.
That's not a fruitful. That's not a fruitful inquiry to go down that road. So, yeah. So infantry it was. Well, what a story, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just got incensed.
I wanted to be aviation, and it just didn't happen. So.
He just got incensed that you took that cold medicine and off you went. Well, and so in F4 at the end there, you guys had a good crew there. You were a company man. You were out doing intramurals and studying economics, and so you just were head down at the end. You had your century, of course, but was there anything else at the time of the academy that distinguished it for you?
You know what? Really good group of friends in that company.
Yeah.
So Matt Eigel, I mentioned before, Dave Anderson, Rich Kidd, Vic Lozier. The five of us, probably for the past 15 years, have made it a point to get together every year for a long weekend somewhere in the U.S. And we've been pretty diligent with it, and it's been great to keep up with those guys. We had a really tight bond. We really did. And my last roommate was the late John Magnus, sadly. Miss Mags. He did the kindest thing for me. So he was the company commander of F4, and I was the XO. And, we had graduation parade, and the day before we had a parade before that also, the day before for the GAP, Great American Public. And I remember Mags going, hey, Jim, you lead the company on the parade the day before so that your parents can hear your name called out over when F4. I was like, dude, that is such class. That is so awesome.
That's a classy thing to do. Sure.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
That's a good dude.
Yeah. That's great.
Miss him.
That's great. Yeah.
So that was pretty much my time, crew. And look, I was just.
You came out of there a freshly minted infantryman, headed off to Alaska. So what was that like? Although young, you were up there with Mark. Was Mark Lukens with you? He was a big Alaska guy.
Kurt Saberla was up there with me.
Okay.
Yep. And Dean Nakadati. Remember Dino?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you go to airborne school. I think I did that first. IOBC, and then Ranger School. Look, we're all in good shape coming out of school, all of us, right? And so I go to Ranger School, and those were, I don't know if they still do that now or not, but they invite 350 people to Ranger School, and they can really only take 250 because they know they're going to get that many to drop, and so at any rate, I go to Ranger School, and you have to do a PT test. Just very first thing. That's the very first thing you do. And so you got to do 55 push-ups, 55 sit-ups, and run a 2 miles or a mile in whatever time, right? We're all
right.
If we couldn't all do that, we wouldn't have passed our last APFT test at West Point, right, to graduate. So anyway, long story short, get in the push-up line, and the RI, the Ranger instructor, is like 54, 54, 54, 54, 54. And then he goes up, go to the end of the line, try it again. 54, 54, 54, 54. He goes, you're out. And I'm like, what in the world? So now I'm not in Ranger School, and I'm an infantry officer. So, no career unless you've got your tab, right, as an infantry guy.
Right.
So, so now my orders get changed, and I have to fly up to Fairbanks to Fort Wainwright and report in to my CO, who is the company commander for Charlie Company. We weren't the 6th ID then. I think we were the 372nd Infantry Brigade or something like that. At any rate, so I go and report to him, and he's like, "Why are you here? And where's your tab? And what do you?" And it was his name was Captain Burke Garrett, who retired as a lieutenant general, and who I actually reconnected with in the last 3 or 4 months. And he's every bit the person I remember as a captain. I could tell you as a captain, I wasn't surprised at all that he made lieutenant general. That good of a guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, "What are you doing here?" And he, I'm standing at attention in front of his desk. He gets on the phone. He calls down to Benning to the Ranger School and gets me in the next class. He's like, "You and I are going to work out every day for the next month until you go back." And I'm like, "Roger that, sir." And we go work out the next morning with, the company and PT, and he goes, "Yeah, you got screwed. Yeah, you can do 55 push-ups.
Yeah, right.
You can do 100, right? Anyway,
you can do 54 great ones, but that last one's the tough one."
that last one was miserable. At any rate, I go back down to Ranger School. Go back down to Ranger School, do that first test. And of course, your rank stripped, everything's, nobody knows you, nobody knows you from Adam. Get in the line in the RI. I'm in the push-up line again, 54, 54, 54, 54. I'm going, there's no way this is happening to me again. No way. Sure enough, they go, do it again. 54, 50, you're out. And then I remember they had a payphone booth in the gravel parking lot of the Gulag. And I go to this because you don't have any money on you or anything, and so I don't even know how I knew what my CO's phone number was, but I call collect to Captain Garrett, and I go, "Hey sir, it's Lieutenant Breen," and he's like, he just immediately, this better not. I go, "Yes sir," the exact same thing happened again, and he's like, "What's the phone number there? Stand in that phone booth till I call you back." "Yes sir." Phone rings, and he goes, "Go report to some XYZ supply unit. I got you in the next class, and this better not happen again." And I'm like, "Sir, it's not." And he was like, "No, I know. This is just really, really bad luck." And so I go to report some supply unit, and Snowbird, and then go back a third time and get in my push-up line, and it's 52, 53, 54, 55. You're in. And I'm like, could we not have done this the first time? Could we not have? So,
man, what a story!
Yeah, so I get in.
But at least you got a little supply time on your record.
There you go. Oh yeah, they had no idea what they didn't. That commander was just like, "I don't care what you do, just show up for PT in the morning and then just go do whatever you want the rest of the day." And I think during that month is when I slept on Dave Houston's couch, because I didn't have a place to stay. And I think called Dave Houston was like, "Yeah, Jim, you can have the couch in his apartment." God bless Dave Houston. He was a good guy. And anyway, so I go through Ranger School. You got to have 50% go on your patrols, and I was like 4 and 5 at the end of swamp phase, and now it's like, all right, well, you have to recycle swamp phase or you can just quit. I'm like, well, I got 56 days invested in this. What's 14 more? So I got to do swamp phase twice. Swamp phase. What's that?
Redid swamp phase. Yeah.
Did that. Finally got my tab. Thankfully, I go back up to Charlie Company up in Wainwright. I go report in to Captain Garrett, and he goes, "Jim, I got some bad news for you." I'm like, "What's that, sir?" He goes, you are no longer a platoon leader in this airborne company. You got to go over to B company, which was a leg company. And he goes, the reason is a brigadier general called and he wanted his son to be an airborne platoon leader, so he took your slot. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. He's like, no. But he was empathetic. He was very professional.
Yeah.
He was incensed. He goes, there's nothing right about this. Nothing about Ranger School was right. Nothing about losing this position was right. And I'm like, all right, sir. So I go over and B company platoon leader. So I'm over there, leg unit. It was good. It was fine. I was up there during. We would do every 2 years do Operation Brimfrost, which was a joint exercise with the Canadians. That was after my Bravo company. I was a headquarters platoon leader at that point in time. And Brimfrost would happen in January, dead of winter. It was, we were the Arctic Warfare Unit. So as the headquarters platoon leader, so my platoon was to go out and secure the TOC for the whole operation. So we go out and secure the TOC. I don't know how many clicks were out, 20, 30 clicks out in the middle of nowhere. And the Canadians are, coming in, they're flying into our airspace, and a Canadian pilot, instead of trusting his instruments, decides to try to sight land the C-130 on our airstrip when just dense ice fog, and he brings it down on the side of the river, breaks his airplane in half. There's, 11, 12, 14 Canadian airmen sprawled out on the tarmac, deceased. So they shut this whole exercise down, and we're stuck where we are. And it was probably 30 or 40 below at the time. And then the temperature the bottom drops out, and it gets to 88 below zero. And
holy cow.
I'm out there and then we had 3 10-man tents with a Yukon stove, we called it. You take a 5-gallon jerry can of diesel fuel and put it on a tripod and drip a line down it and into the Yukon stove, and it'd heat up your tent. Well, my platoon sergeant and I couldn't get a single tent above zero. And so we put all 30 guys in one tent, put 2 stoves, and we survived like that and the whole exercise is shut down. They can't get to us. We can't, they're not telling us to come in or try to or anything. And so we're just out there. And that was, I tell people, that was probably my biggest military leadership experience was my platoon sergeant and I was to get our soldiers to eat and drink. Nobody wanted to eat or drink. Because if you ate or drank, you had to go outside and go to the bathroom. And in 80 below weather. So we forced them to eat in front of us, drink in front of us, and then every time someone went out to the bathroom, either my platoon sergeant or I would go with them, just out of fear of they take a right turn instead of a left turn back to the tent, and now they're gone. So anyhow, my big leadership experience in the military was making people go to the bathroom. That was it.
Well, you have we always said about you, Jim, you have a unique skill set.
Right? It started plebe year. Who knew? Nice connection, Paul. Love that.
Well, now we know. Now we know we've got a guy if it comes to that. So what a heck of a run. First, the aviation, I don't know what you call it, just being denied aviation based on that rather mercurial situation. Then 3 shots at Ranger School. And then losing your airborne slot, goodness gracious, you had to have a certain perspective on the Army by that time, 4 years in, right?
Well, I had one more really kind of interesting one. So I'm
go ahead.
I am this headquarter platoon leader, and I guess it was our headquarters company, and our CO, Russ was his first name. I'm not going to say his last name. At any rate,
sure,
it's probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, probably 3 a.m., and my phone rings at home, and I answer it, and it's the battalion command sergeant major telling me to get in to the post right now and go to the battalion commander's office and see him? Again, this is kind of like getting called out of my, by my principal in high school. I'm going, oh, here's another good one.
Yeah.
So I go to and report to our battalion commander again, it's 3 a.m. And all he says to me is, Lieutenant, you are now the company commander of headquarters company. I go, well, no, sir, Captain so-and-so is. He goes, not anymore.
Yep.
Okay, can you tell me why he's not? And he said, well, about midnight last night, Captain Russ came through the guard shack from being off post. And, of course, they check your ID, right? And so he hands him his ID, and the guard at the guard shack says, ma'am, you gave me your husband's ID. I need your ID. And Captain Russ takes off and is wearing a dress, and he was that before that was cool.
Yeah, right. It was a different time. He was just ahead of his time. That's all.
He was way ahead of his time. I'm at the battalion commander. I'm going, sir, you have got to be kidding me. He goes, I wish I was. And I'm like,
you had an eventful career, Army career in there in the beginning there, Jim. Goodness gracious, man.
Not to mention through largely all of that. So I screwed up a shoulder, and had a tore tendon or labrum or something, and went out on a 3-week RTEP and just ripped it up. Came back and ended up having to have surgery. Didn't work. Okay. Had a second surgery. Didn't work. Finally, all these up in the Army hospital in Fairbanks, and I have a third surgery where they just reconstruct it entirely. And that seemed to do okay. But they said, you can't carry a rucksack anymore. And I'm like,
which for a leg or an airborne infantryman is kind of tough, right?
I'm an infantry officer. That's not gonna work. And they said, well, we're either going to medical you out or branch transfer. So, all right. So I branch transferred to the finance corps.
Look at that.
But it was all kind of played together. So I branch transferred to the finance corps, and the finance officer advanced course was at Fort Ben Harrison in Indianapolis, Indiana.
That's right.
Great place to go to school. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And I was there in advanced course. And I see this major walking down the hall, and he's a finance officer, and he has a Ranger tab on, and he stops me and he goes, what's my story? Why am I financed with the Ranger tab? And I tell him, and he's like, you and I are the only 2 Ranger qualified finance officers in the entire U.S. Army. How do you know that? He's like, no, I know that. I got that going for me. So,
and how did it work? You branch transferred? Did they give you a choice? And you said you wanted to do finance, or?
Yeah, I think they kind of. I was limited to find some support branch, right? Supply,
right.
Ordnance. Probably not ordnance, but some whatever those were, right? Finance was one, and logistics or whatever. So, had to kind of find a desk job basically. So,
and then you ended up at Fort Hood. Was that in a finance role?
Yeah, went to I want to say it's maybe like the 3rd finance detachment at Fort Hood.
No kidding.
Worked for a great commander, female officer. I can't even remember her name, but she was tough as nails. In fact, she was pregnant, and just one afternoon, we're at work, and she leaving for the day, and she goes, hey, Lieutenant, or I guess I'm a captain at that point in time. She goes, she was a major and I was a captain. She goes, hey, Captain Breen, I'm going to go have this baby and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm like, Hey, ma'am, I think I can handle it. I think I can cover for you. I think I'm capable of that. And she's like, oh, no, I know you can, but I'll be back at work. And I don't think I saw her that day, but I saw her the day after. I was just like, she just cruised into office with her, 1-day-old baby going back to work. I was like, holy cow, that's impressive.
The infantry guys have something to learn from the finance corps. That's tough.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Indeed. So anyhow, and then so when I was in Fort Wainwright, the first Gulf War broke out. Watched it on TV because we were Arctic warfare. My unit eventually rotated over to the Gulf, but it was, right. I think it was 3-4 years after, finally got to them. And then when I got to Fort Hood, that finance detachment had just recently come back. And so, yeah, I never went across the pond, never,
Okay. So you time to consider getting out or staying in as a finance officer, I guess. What was where was your head on that?
And I know our guys talked about, the drawdown at that time, 91, 2, 3, 4 era, right? And somebody tells me, hey, you've got to go for a medical board for your shoulder. I'm like, what? Yeah. So I get sat down to Brooke Army Medical in San Antonio, go before the medical board, and they tell me, hey, we're recommending to Department of the Army that we're recommending you for separation. You need to go find a job because in 3 weeks you're going to get a letter that says you're out and you probably should go find a job. I'm like, okay, all right.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did. I came from Fort Hood up here to Fort Worth and found this exact job I'm sitting in right now. Went back down to Fort Hood and waited for my letter. And my letter from the Department of the Army came in, and I opened it up, and it literally just said, no, figuratively, it says, we're just kidding. We'll let you stay in, but we're going to reevaluate you a year from now.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? And at the time,
well, you had a rough ride. I got to tell you, I obviously talked to a lot of classmates, but you had kind of a rough go.
It was unique.
The ups and downs. You're very sanguine about it, but
it was
for
unique.
A 27-year-old, it's not that easy to take these ups and downs.
Well,
right?
Not just that, but I am a single parent of 2 kids at that point. And my daughter is 1 and maybe almost 2. And my son's almost 4, and I'm a single parent. And I'm like, man, I need a little more job security than every 12 months to feed these.
A little more stability than that.
And yeah. So
now it is absolutely remarkable that you then got into a career as a financial advisor that was it. I mean, that's the fact that you hit that so cleanly right out of the gate. Talk about how you lined that up with Wells Fargo and how that happened. Went and interviewed resumes to all financial firms, and this was one of 2 that would hire me. And the manager at the time that hired me was hiring a bunch of JMOs. And years later, I was like, Greg, why did you ever hire me? Why did you take a chance on me? And he's like, good Lord, Jim. You were a single dad with 2 kids. You had no choice but to be successful at this. you had to feed kids. I knew you. It's a pretty wise hiring. That's a wise hiring manager there.
Yeah. But my dad first got me interested in this back in even before high school, grade school. If I had, grass cutting money, if I got paid $5 for cutting a yard, the neighbor's yard, he would let me keep 3 of it, and he would take 2. And he first would make me put it in a passbook savings account. And then when that built up to, I don't know, hundreds of dollars, maybe $1,000 or something, and I had other jobs also.
Yeah.
Then he said, hey, we're going to take this and you're going to invest in the Fidelity Magellan Mutual Fund. and that had only been out for, I don't know, 10 years or so. And I'm like, what's that? And, so, of course, when it went down in value, I was not real happy, but to see it go up in value and do it. So at any rate, he instilled this whole investment mantra into me probably at about 10. Probably was 10 years old when I first did that. So,
no kidding.
Yeah.
So talk through just at a summary level what the world looked like when you started versus what you do now. Because with technology and the psychology of it, like you were talking about earlier, talk about the journey. I mean, it's got to be amazing, like where you started in 92 to where it looks like today.
So, people starting today don't just start single. They usually, I think, mostly get assigned to a team and apprenticeship and a junior advisor, something like that. Try to learn from people. Back then, there was 77 people in my training class at Prudential Base Securities. Was it? I'm the only one in the business still. There was only 2 of us in the business 5 years later, and it was just they just put Velcro on the wall and threw everybody at it and hoped 1 or 2 people would stick. And it was a matter of just cold calling every day, smiling and dialing hundreds, if not there were days I'd do $1,000 a day, just trying to get any warm body to talk to me, buy a bond from me.
Yeah, right.
It was.
And where did you get the leads back then? How did you guys source leads back then?
So this was, I don't know how I came up with this, but back then, the Chamber of Commerce of every town or city, if you called them and said, hey, I'm thinking about moving to your town, can you send me a welcome packet, like a welcome wagon or something? But these welcome packets back then always had a business directory that had the name of every small business, and most importantly, it had the name of the owner, and it had his phone number in it. And so, we may get
You would just go down the list.
Well, no, I was clever in that like Victoria, Texas would have a municipal bond. And so I'd go to my V file, the V's, pull out my Victoria, Texas small business list, and I'd start dialing in going, hey, we've got these Victoria, Texas bonds, just trying to give the folks that live there a chance to invest in the bonds before anybody else. Would you like to buy a bond? Oh, sure, I'll buy $10,000 worth of a Victoria, Texas bond. And that's largely how I built my business. That and just networking, trying to get to know people in the community, volunteering at my kids' schools, getting involved in the West Point Society of North Texas.
So what does a new entrant look like now? I mean, because now it's obviously databases are purchased, and like what does the world look like now for the people you mentor?
Yeah, now you come in and you're young, you get onto a team like ours, and we'll mentor you, and hopefully it all works out that that's the succession plan. You eventually sell your book to your junior person or something like that.
So that's the idea.
Yeah. So it's a great business.
So long years in Fort Worth there. And you're involved with some charitable work. I did see that on your LinkedIn profile. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
A little bit, yep. Yeah. So met my first wife in Alaska, had 2 kids, a son Stephen and a daughter Courtney. And then we went to Fort Bend Harrison, and then get to Fort Hood, and she just decided this all wasn't for her, and walked, and due to mental illness, truly. In fact, sadly, 3 years ago she passed away of a drug overdose. So mental illness is real, and it's but so that's how I ended up in Fort Hood with 2 kids and being a single parent. And and then when I came up here to Fort Worth, got to work in this business, met my wife, Kathy, who we've been married for 4 years, 34 years, in case she watches this. she had 2 kids. I have 2 kids. We Brady Bunched it. None together, and raised these 4 kids. And then in 2003, our son Stephen got diagnosed with cancer. Fought it for a good 16 months. Passed away in October of 2004. And
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, yep. That was 21 years ago. Yep. At any rate, fought a valiant fight, and we talked to him about creating a foundation, perhaps. And he said, "Well, if you do that, I wanted to do 2 things." And he said, "So we send all of our kids to Catholic elementary and high schools," and he just said, I'm going to assume that not everybody can afford that may want to do that." He goes, help people provide tuition assistance if needed to people that, on a needs based. And then he said, and also when I was, getting treated for cancer, a lot of people did a lot of nice things for me. He goes, help do the same thing for kids at our local Cook Children's Hospital. And so we do that. We help both of those causes, and we are nowhere near the magnitude of our beloved Johnny Mack Foundation, but in our little corner of the world, we've probably provided about $4 to $5 million of assistance to either of those groups of kids, and it's probably about 3,000 or 4,000 children that I like to think have been impacted positively. So,
a tremendous achievement. That's a tremendous achievement. So
it's a labor of love.
Yeah, and for a great honoring your son, which was a great cause.
And as a matter of fact, just to tag on to it, so we do a foundation dinner in the fall every year, and we've had some really cool speakers. Neil McDonough, who's an actor, Band of Brothers. He was on Band of Brothers. He's spoken. Rocky Bleier, if you remember Rocky Bleier, Vietnam vet, Pittsburgh Steeler, 4-time Super Bowl champ. Spoke. We've had 20 speakers, but at any rate, our speaker this October will be none other than our own Roger Carstens.
Roger Dean Carstens.
Yes, he is.
You've arrived. That's excellent.
He was.
And he's a terrific speaker. He's a good friend, so we'll always speak kindly of him. But he is a tremendous speaker, so he will rivet the audience with his stories. He's an amazing
Yes, he will. Yeah, so looking forward to it. He is just very kind and gracious to do that. And anyhow, it's going to be fun.
That's great. So, that's awesome. We'll make sure I tell you what, we'll make sure that we'll circulate information about the events and the dinner amongst classmates, because I'm sure people will want to follow along and assist where they can.
I'm sure they would love to see Roger go. It's generally, you have 300 people generally for the dinner. It's not huge, but it's not all that tiny either. So
that's a sizable dinner, my friend. My lovely wife works a bit in these areas, and I can tell you from having sat in a few of those dinners myself, that's well done. So good for you.
Nothing like having 300 of your closest friends over for dinner.
That's right.
It's a lot of work.
That's right. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do that. So that's great. And what a fitting tribute to Stephen and his fight.
Thank you.
So I did see the different events that you hold, and they're all from your LinkedIn page. I was able to click through, and so it looks like a lot of you're, of course, being measured in your presentation. But it looks like a lot of great work for a lot of kids there. So that's well done.
It has had a positive impact on several thousand children. So,
well done. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah.
But you say you're going to keep chopping wood until you're in your 70s. But we are going to see you on the boats in France. So not only do you have the good work being done, you're going to enjoy life a little bit. Which is good news.
Be at the reunion. Plan to do that.
You'll be at the reunion, which is key. Although the F4 group, we might have to put a little ring fence around because you all are troublemakers.
Apparently. Not too much beer.
Yeah, right. Well, we want to keep you away from the Firsty Club anyway. So, is there any story we haven't told or anything you haven't shared yet that we'd love to share with classmates?
And I think I hit, I don't know if those are highlights or lowlights, but they're lights nonetheless. They're my lights, right? And
well, you were saying with the self-modesty at the beginning that you didn't have that much there, but there were some terrific stories up front there. So, what a run! I really enjoyed listening to your stories. Jim, thanks for being on. It was great. We look forward to seeing you at the reunion, and we'll look forward to catching up with you certainly over on the riverboat next year, where we'll get a chance to catch up even more.
I'll look forward to it, Paul. Again, really, thank you for doing this for our class. Really, really important. Well done, my friend.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Courage Never Quits podcast, where any member of the class of 1986 who is willing to tell their story will be a guest. To get the word out and stay up to date on the latest episodes, hit the like and subscribe button. With over 900 living graduates, we have a lot of stories to tell, and you don't want to miss any of them. We'll see you in the next episode.